Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome to Iftar'ing with Cair. Today, we have a very special guest, Dr. Nadia Katrangi, who is the chair for the Good Tree Institute. For folks that don't know what the Good Tree Institute is, it is a female-founded community-first Islamic institute that fosters connection and personal discovery through the Quran. They provide courses, retreats, events, and so much more for both youth and adults. Welcome, Dr. Nadia. Doctora
Thank you.
Nadia, am I saying it in like my American accent? We're so happy to
No
have you
problem.
here. How are
Yeah,
you?
well, I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm really honored and happy to be with you.
We're
Thank
so
you.
happy to have you too. Dr. Nadia, we can jump right into this because I know like time is of an essence for you. You have such an interesting background. Google searched you and found all these things about you. um, you have a background where you tie medicine and religious studies together.
Mhm.
If you want to tell us a little bit about your background and your history and what brought you into this work and just
Yeah,
all of it. Let us get to know you a little bit.
yeah, thank you. It's always very interesting, right, to see kind of like, yeah, well, how can you just like be in both worlds, right? A lot of the times that's a question that people will be intrigued in. And to me, my connection with Islam and the religion kind of like preceded that. I grew up more of not so much liking being a Muslim. You know, people would say, yeah, you're lucky being a Muslim. I don't know why you would say that. So it wasn't something that I was very, very happy being. And I had to, you wanted to fit in. And even though I grew up in a Muslim country, but kind of called Muslim country, but there's a lot of uh, discrepancy. People just don't feel that it's a way that it's kind of like it doesn't fit anymore. It's not needed anymore. So I had to deal with that, and I had to struggle with that. And at one point late in high school, that's where things sparked, and I had that moment of that, to see the essence of Islam, like what Islam is about, the true meaning of it. Just like something has transformed for me in this area, and it just like became something that kind of like got into my bones. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I never knew that Islam is like that. You know, a lot of the times you think that it's a bunch of do's and don'ts, and you have to do this and you don't have to do that. So that growing up, I just hated that. I didn't want that to be that. And when I saw the beauty and the love that is involved in everything about Islam and everything about connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with people, it just shifted my world. So my view of everything started going from that perspective. And then I got into med school. So, just you got to choose your career, you got to choose what you want to do. So, and it's so interesting how throughout the time, I always saw them as parallel, like healing the body and how the body works and how it heals itself, and healing your spirituality and your ruh and your nafs and your psyche, and how they're just like so similar. So I was always intrigued, and I always kind of like was able to draw that parallel and to learn from our body to understand our soul. They're just like, it operates simultaneously and in a very similar manner, if you will, to say. So it's always been very interesting to be in both worlds and to understand both worlds.
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit to in high school when you said, all of a sudden, like you realized how beautiful Islam is. Um, was there a specific moment you remember or an
Oh yeah.
incident where?
Oh yeah. Those were one of the, you have certain moments in your life. That was definitely one of those moments.
Yeah,
I was striving. I was kind of like trying to convince myself that Islam is the way, and I should be doing it, and I should be that. And intellectually, logically, and I was trying. I was kind of reading books and doing, and nothing was. It was just like I was forcing myself into it, but inside, I wasn't. And I tell people that all the time. There was a time, especially now since it's Ramadan, so it's good to mention it. That I was going into 11th grade, and then they said, oh yeah, well, it's Ramadan, the last 10 days, you might have a Laylatul Qadr, so it's good to make dua. So I just kind of like, okay, you know what, let me just give it a shot.
Mhm.
And I remember sitting at the balcony and at night, and just sitting casually, you know, not like any proper prayer or anything, just like saying, Ya Allah, I know your way is the way. I don't like it. Like I was that blunt with Allah. I'm not having that appetite for it. Just give me the way, show me what to do. And few months into that, I was sitting with, I would consider her my mentor. Like she was our neighbor. She was kind of like 6-7 years older than me. And she came to talk to my friend. And then the whole conversation just like kind of penetrated in fully. And it was all about me. Something major shifted for me. So I did a lot of kind of like, I was struggling to the point where when that conversation happened, everything just became clear for me. It's like, oh my God, how beautiful this is.
Yeah.
You see, and that's why, I mean, that's what I stand for. That's what that's why we, you know, when we're talking good tree, we say truth is awakened, not given. It can't be shoved into you. It has to come out. It has to, at one point, something has to shift for you to see that.
Yeah. I really appreciate your honesty in answering that question, because I think a lot of people, you know, struggle with that,
Yeah,
and they feel so alone because you can't come out and just say, you know,
yeah,
I don't believe this.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so it's nice for folks to hear that, you know, like you're
Mm,
not alone when you feel this way. There are people that have found their way into
yeah.
Islam.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the same all the time. People think that it's just like now being a Muslim is tough or connecting to God is tough. Actually, it's been like that throughout time. Yeah, I understand. I mean, the struggle in terms of what we're dealing with, in terms of all of what we're tackling is a bit broader and tougher, but the essence of the challenge is there all the time, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah. Oh, thank
yeah,
you. Thank you for that
welcome.
inspiring answer.
You're
um,
welcome.
Doctora Nadia, we would love to, like, I would love for you to elaborate on what good tree is,
Yeah,
especially for folks that are not very familiar with
yeah,
all you do.
yeah. Yeah, so now, as I said, I mean, to me, this journey, this experience that I had for myself, I just want it for everybody, you know? And um, it's just a game changer. It just adds a meaning to life. And I really, I cannot imagine my life without that. And that's why I wanted to make sure that, I mean, throughout my life, I've been doing it unofficially. And then at one point, you know, a group of friends and myself just like decided, you know what, let's just make this work for people. Let's make it available in a way that actually answers their need. As I told you, that's why we say that truth is awakened, not given. So what we do, what Good Tree is about, it is about sparking that love, that interest, awakening that connection. It's just like there, it's dormant, it's just covered. And you know, you have to allow for it to wake up. And that's why, you know, what we work on, and we do that through the Quran, because the Quran has that capacity and has that ability to uncover these things for you, you know? And the main highlight of what we do is basically, you know how we don't work on information. We don't work on what you know. Like we don't work on, okay, let me tell you the tafsir of the Quran, the explanation. That's not what we do. And that's why a lot of the times when people come in, the first time they come, it's just like, well, I know this. Well, of course I know you know. We're not talking about the know. We're talking about how can I unlock this? How can I revive it? And this is something that has to happen over and over and over, and moment by moment. You gotta kind of like wake that up in you. So it's a process where I just like interact with these words, interact with the Quran in a way that can allow me to discover something, can allow me to shift my view and to see something newly. Again, besides knowing, it's not about knowing, it's about more, how can I have this actually impact me? a lot of the times we look into the Quran and we read and we say, oh yeah, well, I know this is not about me. Oh, this is about this is about, and I have a preconceived notion of what the Quran is about. So I go through the Quran and I don't interact with it. It's about things or people or stuff, but it has nothing to do with me. And I end up just like not benefiting from it. Although we hear over and over and over that the Quran is actually your way of life. It's what gives you what you need, but we don't see that. And the reason being is that we just look at it from one dimension, which is the knowledge dimension. And to me, I totally understand that, given, you know, I'm just like a very analytical person, and I just deal with these kinds of things a lot. And I can't hear something twice. Like I can't hear something and be explained to me twice. So I understand the struggle, but it's going beyond that and allowing, putting all your knowledge aside and just like letting yourself to get in something for your heart and for your soul is where the money is. And so that's really the essence of it. And inside of it, it's more of a community. So that's the other piece that we focus on a lot, is to build that community, because that's the big piece that's missing for people. Having a space where they feel safe, where they feel that they can be heard, that they can see themselves in other people, that they can share these experiences, that they can together go through what they are dealing with together and heal that, because that's the reality of the matter. We just go in life and every one of us is just like putting this facade and showing that everything is fine, whereas it's not. And none of us, every one of us, like walks around and thinks that, oh, I'm the only one who is having this problem, thinking we can deal with it by ourselves. And that's the biggest pitfall that we're having in this society right now. You cannot deal with these things by yourself. Yeah. That's why we have all of these problems that people are dealing with. Yeah. It's, you gotta have a support. You gotta have people around you who care about you, who love you, who hear you, and you hear yourself in them. To me, that's the most important part. When you speak and you tell me about your struggle, I hear myself in you. And together we can go through this. We can move through this. So that's these are the two main things. It's that discovery of you, of your connection with your creator, and through community, through people. It's got to be through that fabric, that safe space, that love, that home, that feeling of just like I'm comfortable being here. That's so sorry, it took me a long time, but it takes a while to just explain what we do.
No, it's so beautiful. It's truly beautiful. It's like the faith aspect of it and the community aspect of it, because I do think, and that goes not just for Muslims or
absolutely
for everybody, right? Like we all long for that community and that love and that home, no matter how
totally,
like even if your life seems to be the easiest, right? Like, you know, the things that hurt us are sometimes very small, and you just need that community to be like, it's okay,
and having
you spilled water on yourself today.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, you spilled water on yourself.
You're right. Exactly. It's fine, right? Yeah, and that's one of, as you were saying it, I just wanted to also share that the nice thing about what we do is that we have people who are not Muslims.
Yeah.
And the Quran doesn't only speak to Muslims. That's the other piece that a lot of people miss. It's like really from the creator speaking to people. It is speaking to people. So that's what just like people identify with this, whatever that is, whatever it is that they're going through, they can see themselves in it.
Yeah. Could you elaborate about some of it? Because I've looked through your website and I see that you guys provide like camping events and retreats. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah. So basically, yeah, exactly. So we do kind of like teenagers, college kids, we do that age, and we do adults. And we do either retreats, sometimes we do as retreats, like you do a full weekend where we take parts of the Quran that there's a special connection between them, and we let people interact with this. It's very like, okay, let's get to the core here. Let's get personal. Let's get real. How does this, like, what's going on? You know, how can you deal with these ayahs? How can you, what does it say to you? So we get into that, and usually these spaces are very beautiful. And we do have them, especially what we call the Seeds of Wisdom retreats. They're basically, last part of the Holy Quran is kind of like more of a summary of the Quran. So it gives you the essence of what the Quran is about. So we have it into 9 series of these weekends, where each one of them tackles a special part about a major principle in our faith, and how to deal with it, and how to deal with yourself, how to deal with people, how to deal with Allah, you know. So that's, and we take that, and each part we just focus on it, and we let people interact with it. So, and we do the same thing for teens, but in a different manner. It's not exactly the same platform, but in a different manner. And then we do have, the other main highlight that we do is also kind of like a series of weekly programs. So maybe about 6 to 8 programs. We do these online. And it's just like beautiful, because we have people nationally, internationally. So just like they come and they join, and we take a part of the Quran again, and we kind of like focus on that throughout these 6 to 8 sessions. It's more of a kind of like support to the retreat. So you've kind of like got your boost in the retreat, and now you have these to keep you going. They've been amazing, and just having people from all different backgrounds, all different gender, age, understanding, nationalities. It's just beautiful to see people being able to share themselves and be themselves there, and discover for themselves what they need. So these are the 2 main things. And then we do have a lot of complementary programs to support the community aspect, to support that, like the fact that we say we support each other, we do need platforms to support each other. So we do have these kinds of things, or more of kind of like delving into the Quran deeper and understanding it, and kind of like breaking it up in a way that you can actually have a direct interaction with it.
Yeah, that's amazing. You might have a new guest.
We'd love to have you, inshallah.
Inshallah. Dr. Nadia, so one of the questions like I wanted to ask you, you know, like we do civil rights work here in at Cair, and I want to pick your brain on, you know, like as Muslims, what do you believe is our obligation and role in the civil rights movement, right? Like, I'd love to pick your brain in that question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for doing what you're doing. It just takes the burden off of the rest of us, knowing that somebody is standing there and doing the work and giving us a platform, you know, where we can be taken care of and we can contribute. So it's a major thing that you guys are doing. So thank you so much.
No, thank you.
And yeah, thank you. And one thing that strikes me in the Quran is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the prophets, peace be upon them. And as we know, they are our role models. The way that, especially when it's a storytelling, like especially like the story of Yusuf or the story of Moses, peace be upon him, you see in the details of the conversation their interaction with people and their genuine love to their people, whoever they're living with. Like Yusuf, peace be upon him, lived in Palestine, and then he moved to Egypt. When he was in Egypt and he lived there, they became his people, and he cared about them, and he genuinely interacted with them and did his best to benefit, to kind of like act on whatever is needed at that point. That was very clear. Throughout the stories, you just like see that that depth of interaction, of that depth of care, and that depth of wanting to benefit them. So and we see the same thing in the Prophet's life, right? When he was in Mecca in his first 13 years, or when he was in Medina, you see the same thing. They're just like there, being with people, interacting with them, despite of differences. Like we might have a different understanding, we might have kind of different in opinions, we might have different in our belief, but that doesn't prevent us from just like being together in this place, standing for each other, caring about each other. And as the Prophet said, there was a shiver in before Islam that if I'm called to it right now, I would join it, which is about supporting people who are oppressed. So the essence of our deen is actually, I mean, if you look at our deen is about connection with Allah, and it's about connection and serving people. That's what our deen is about. And that part is so important. I love the hadith that the Prophet says that human beings or creation are all عيالullah. Al-khalqu kulluhum عيالullah. عيال meaning they translate it as children. It's really like the dependents of Allah. وَأَحَبُّهُمْ إِلَى اللَّهِ, and Allah loves most the ones who are most beneficial to his عيال. أَنْفَعُهُمْ لِعِيَالِهِ. So that genuine love and care is there. It's in the essence. When you are actually, this one of the main signs, if you really are a genuine person who connects with your creator, it has to reflect on your love to people. It has to. And as a matter of fact, if you really aren't moved, aren't doing something about things that are happening out there in the society, whatever it is, oppression, whatever it is that's happening, you just don't move, don't care, don't do anything. It's a sign that the heart is dead. It's a sign that the heart is not connected. You can't. If you love Allah, you gotta love his people. You can't. So it's in the fabric of our deen to be able to do what you need to do, to be able to stand for what's right, despite, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, you know. And the Quran has immense amount of beautiful stories of how he just like said it, and he actually gave a command: be, oh you who trust God, be standing for what is just, even if it's against you, even if it's against the people you care about and you love. You gotta say what is right.
Yeah.
So it's a command. It's a very clear command, and it's, as I said, it's a translation of who you are to your creator. If your relationship is alive, then your connection with people and your service to people is alive. Your reaction to what's happening is alive. If it's not there, then go back and look. Why is my heart dead? Why am I not caring? Why am I not moved that this thing is happening out there?
Yeah, that was such a beautiful answer. I had chills the whole time you were saying it. That was so beautifully
Yeah,
said.
it is our deen, really. It is the essence of our deen, you know.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
I will save that quote forever whenever I need that
Yeah,
motivation.
it is actually a very, really, it's a good sign. I always use it for myself. Like if I'm just not moved, just go check what's going on. Where
Yeah,
is the
what's
block?
going on in there? Why are you not
Exactly.
feeling it? Yeah.
Exactly. Because if I'm alive, it's just alive.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it's also infectious, right? And I
It
think
is.
that's something, and that's what I used to love about, like, for example, going to Taraweeh and Ramadan, like pre-COVID, you know, that community where even if you felt some days like in ways like dead inside, right? You're just like, I'm not sure what's
Yep.
happening right now. I felt like you were brought back to your faith and to
So true.
yourself, like when you are surrounded by the community and or family,
So
or
true.
right, because we all fall
Yeah,
short
absolutely.
sometimes, you know, like there are days where
Totally.
we're not our best selves, and we need that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have one last question for you. I know, you know, like you're a busy lady, so
Thank you.
how can we get involved with you, right? How can folks get involved with the Good Tree? What do they need to do to, you know?
So there are several ways. There are several platforms, actually. I mean, definitely, to me, I think the work that we do, just like how the work that you do, what you're specialized in, is something that all of us need to be involved in. Kind of like either supporting, contributing, or facilitating whatever it is that you guys are asking, right? Because you're providing that outlet where we can be involved in that area. The specialty that we have is so important in terms of understanding you, and in flushing, always cleaning that stuff, bringing that aliveness for yourself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with yourself, with people, it's very much needed. So I think that it's very important to make sure that you're plugged in somehow in these kinds of things, in these kinds of events, making sure that you are being able to connect yourself with these kinds of things. That's one way. The other way, we have a lot of platforms where we are wanting to interact with people in a way where we support each other. Like one of the things that we have what we call a Sadiq program, where we are, if somebody is like new or is feeling that they are just like not belonging, we pair them with somebody else where they can be their friends.
So cool.
Right, exactly, where they could just like be together, where they can be supporting each other. So that's a platform that's very beautiful, to allow for, to kind of like compensate for these loneliness that we've been dealing with. You know, a lot of times people just like feel that I am just like alone. So that's a very great platform to work on. We have other platforms where if you want to really train yourself in your connection with Allah, in your ibadah, and how to do that, we have platforms where you just plug yourself in and do some challenges. We call them ibadah challenges. Just get in and get yourself kind of like, okay, well, I'm just like short in my prayers, or I want to do this, but I'm not being able to. Just plug yourself in and do a 40-day challenge. That's been very, very impactful for people. And we do kind of like these mini groups where you have calls and you just encourage each other and you go through these challenges where you start building these kinds of habits. Another very beautiful platform that we're doing right now, which what we're calling the American Tapestry. Okay. So one of the things is the Quran deals with people. So to understanding the Quran is not sufficient. You got to understand the people. So what we're doing now is we're basically kind of like each year we focus on one sect or one group of what makes the American fabric, this society. So we did the natives, now we're doing the Black community. So each time we work on that, and then we create these retreats where people can come together and they can hear their stories, and that they just interact with them and they hear what was going on. It's just like, so that's a very beautiful platform. The African American narrative is almost done. The African American thread is almost done. We have a beautiful beautiful group of people who are doing it and preparing it. And I can't wait, inshallah, until we put it out there. So just to allow for that understanding of each other and interacting with each other and learning how to be there for each other, and to hear each other's pains and each other's struggles. And, you know, I mean, just like that understanding is so essential. So that's another platform that can be done as well. And we do have programs, educational programs, if you want to learn your Arabic, if you want to learn the Quran, like you want to get into the details of the Quran and just like start breaking it down, that's also another way to contribute. So we have, like, you can volunteer and serve and be there, and you can do this for yourself as well if you want. So it's all, as I said, just like a community base. It's like there is that environment of people there doing, being together and serving each other and supporting each other.
Yeah, and that definitely creates more empathetic human beings and compassionate human beings, right? Especially with having folks coming in and telling their stories. Nothing humanizes a story more than someone actually.
So true.
You can watch it in the news, you can, you know, read it in the papers or see it in social media, but when that person is in front of you telling you, you know, I'm Native American, they took my land, I'm Black and they killed I'm worried about my son, or, you know,
exactly.
my son died, or this is my experience. Nothing tells it more than or creates that sort of connection more than humanizing it by having someone there.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for this conversation, Dr. Nadia. I loved having you, and I hope this is not the last time you come and have a conversation with me, because I want to pick your brain so much more.
Inshallah, inshallah. Thank you for having me. It was great being with you and having this conversation.
It was so wonderful. And thank you everybody for tuning in. I will attach the links to Dr. Nadia's Goodtree website and their social media right below the post. And I'll see you all soon.